Hello, I am CrazyCat648, or you can call me Grace. Today I'm going to be building a tea shop, kind of bookstore Studio Ghibli build. Here I'm picking out the block palette, and this was really inspired by Kiki's delivery service. In all the city kind of builds, and like all the framing and stuff that they did, I really like how they did it. And this one I made it on my flat world, and so you might see some kind of like random particles or blocks in the background. Those are other builds that I've done. I was really trying to focus on making this one have like a unique silhouette from all sides and have it be like a functional sort of shop. And so I made like a round kind of bit in the back, and I wanted to do like a mossy cobblestone kind of foundation. And so this frame was very weird to work with, and so I had to change it a lot more than I usually do. And so I fixed that, and then I made another section back to give it more visual interest. And then I started on the roof. This one is a combination of the two roof designs I usually do. It's usually either all logs or all like planks and stairs. And so this one I just did logs and stairs. And I went for a deep slate roof to make it feel more grounded. And this one, for the curvy section in the back, I made it a giant kind of tower. I felt that it fit best with the theme of Studio Ghibli, because it's like it's like a witch hat cone kind of style, and they pull a lot of their movie inspiration from Europe kind of thing. And so I was like thinking like a small tower that might have been like a study or like an attic in like a real world kind of thing. And so I'm not usually the best at doing these kind of roofs, but I winged this one, and so just added an entire heap of different blocks and stuff. But I think it turned out pretty good, and then I just copied it over onto the other side. Sorry if I'm going a bit fast with this voiceover. This is a shorter video, so I'm trying to explain everything as quick as I can. And sorry I don't have any of the usual ASMR sounds. My flashback mod goofed up on me, and so there is no sounds for this, but you have me and the music, and those are nice. So here I made a roof, and I used the regular Deepslate and the Deepslate bricks, and I think it was really good with the wood, the spruce wood roof trim. And here I started filling in the bottom roof. It's all boring stuff right now, but when we get into the interior, oh, I love this interior. I even used this build on a server that I play. One of my favorite techniques here is adding a second row of beams underneath the top beams. It just gives more support to the build, and it also just makes it look really nice. I started working on top of the roofs. I used some mud brick walls and some fence gates, and then I started working on the mossy cobblestone foundation. Now I did texture, it's not just going to be completely mossy cobblestone, but I wanted this because it will make it look more overgrown, grounded, and just give it like a really cozy vibe. And then to texture it, I used mossy stone bricks and tough and pale moss blocks. And I personally really love this palette. I've not used that as a foundation before, but I'm definitely going to use that again in the future, because look at that, it's so pretty. And then I used birch and sandstone mixed to make the main walls. I used a gradient of the stripped birch log, birch planks, sandstone, and smooth sandstone. That's a lot of blocks I'm naming off. But just having that, I used that when I was making my hobbit hole. I used that gradient for the walls, and it made it look super good. Then I started working on the balcony area, and so I made a quick fence, and then I started working on texturing the pillars, columns, the logs. I started texturing the logs with some of the dark oak shelves, and I just put that around, and I think that just added just a little bit more dimension to it. For me, the trapdoors are a bit more saturated than I want. Then I started working on the flooring. Originally, I wanted to do mangrove wood, but then I switched over to stripped dark oak wood. And then for the middle, I used some green terracotta. Terracotta. I said that weird. And then I started working on putting in the windows. So I put the white stained glass panes, and I just put those around where I thought a window would look nice. That corner window there, the circle wasn't completely centered, and like the little tower section wasn't completely centered, and so I thought I could just move it around or something, but I had to like reconfigure that window. Then I started working on the inside a bit, and so here I was fixing up the inside of the tower. I was fixing up that roof and filling in the gaps in the walls, and it definitely looks a lot better. And then I made a spiral staircase up to the balcony, and so it just had like a pillar in the center with some spruce stairs, spruce slabs, and some spruce trapdoors. Then I worked on the floor, and it was the same floor design as the balcony. I am stumbling over my words. Then I started filling in the bookshelves. The interiors was such fun to do. So I used some bookshelves and some chiseled bookshelves, and I used some like sea pickles and pots and lanterns, and I did fix the roof right there. I added like some shelves like above the door and above some of the walls. Usually you don't see that kind of thing, and they're just like floor to ceiling shelves, but to me that just made it look really pretty. Then I added one to fill in that space there, and I just filled in all those books and the chiseled bookshelves. Sometimes people use looms to texture the bookshelves more, but for me it's a little bit too expensive if I wanted to use it for Minecraft Survival World personally, and I just like the look of just chiseled bookshelves and bookshelves. Then I made like a little lectern kind of area. Like if you're gonna use this like as like a shop build on a survival server, then you can have like people write down stuff in there if you want. But I just use that as like a library decoration kind of thing. Then I made a 3-tiered kind of shelf design in the back. So it has like a little pot. It has an amethyst bud thing. And one of my favorite tricks is like a barrel with a tripwire hook on it. And there's also grindstone and some sea turtle eggs. Then I started working on the attic space. That's what I used the tower roof thing for. I used that for an attic. And so it was going to be like a bedroom kind of thing, but then I realized that the space kind of would have been awkward. And I realized I needed storage, so I just put in some candles and a few pots and stuff, and then I put in a nice little pile of barrels and campfires, and it turned out really good. Now, for the seating and the tables of the actual shop, that was a little bit tricky, and so I wanted to use some shelves, but that didn't really work out well. And so I just used the simple stair and sign design, and that turned out fine. I wish it was just a little bit better or something, but I can't put my finger on how to make that better. And so this is like a tea shop, and so I made it where there was like, I did switch out that cake for something else, but I was like got like little pots of tea, like the sea cucumbers were like little cups, and then you got like a pot, not a pot, like a cup, like a pot, and so you got like a tea there, and then there was there's a desk at the end, and then I added some rooted dirt, I added the hanging roots, not rooted dirt, hanging roots, and glowberries around to give it a little bit more vegetation. Then I started working on the balcony, and so I just copied the chair and table design over with some of the same decoration elements, and I think that turned out really cute. And I also added the same pot design, and also added glowberries up here as well, and the hanging roots. Then I added like a thing at the end of the roof so I could hang some lanterns from it, because those spaces up there get really dark. I also started trying to work on a bench design. Like, people could sit outside and drink tea if they wanted to, or read books or something. And so I tried to add a few piles of barrels, but then I realized that that's probably too much barrels, so I did get rid of that one and put in a little flower thing. And over here I added a few it's like, what would these be? It would be like a flower bed thing, and then I added another pile of barrels and stuff. Like, people would use this as like a storage kind of space on the outside. Then I added leaves, so many different leaves, all the leaves. I just used azalea, not like the flowering azalea one, because I wanted to stay more to the green and not use the pink ones, flowering azalea. And I also added a bunch of hanging plants and lanterns around to add more variation. So here I added yet another bench, and in just a few moments I'll add a pathway trail. And this video is a bit shorter than usual. Usually these take me like hours and hours to film, but this one, it took me like an hour and like hour and a half, 2 hours, and so I was shocked by how short that took. But this one was really fun to do, and if you guys have any more suggestions on what I should build, I would love to hear it. In 2 weeks, if you're watching this, as this is like posting, or like in the 2 weeks after this, I'm not going to be posting a video in 2 weeks because I will be gone and I won't have time to record and edit another video. But I will be posting again after that. So I just wanted to give you guys a heads up. Then I did add candles up there. Then I started lighting it up with a few frog lights. I love adding frog lights around just to like spawn proof it. And it just gives it like a really warm kind of vibe when it's like at night. But thank you for watching. But I really love this build, and I did add some firefly bushes and stuff because I thought they'd be cute. I'm pretty sure the light level is too dark for them to do any firefly. But thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys later. Goodbye.